What you watching?
You're listening to the Rubber Squid Podcast, Episode 9, the finale, presented by betsafe.net.
Welcome to the final episode of the Rubber Squid Podcast. There's nothing in there except my massager, and you're not going to chew that up. Wow. Rixie, could you get this mongrel out of here? Menace to society.
I'm just glad your massager isn't a person.
Is it Emilio?
Give her a tip and send her. Tell her to come back next week.
Emilio's sighting.
Emilio.
Mr.
Roddy.
What if people never listen to our old podcast and they're just fans of Squid Game, so they're only listening to this podcast and they're like,
fair.
"Who the hell is Emilio?"
I didn't realize we were recording.
For you guys, Emilio was a recurring character in season 2, I believe, of the Rubber Boots podcast.
And 3.
He was the what do you call that?
Personal assistant?
The personal assistant, yeah.
Personal assistant, I would say. Let's leave it there.
Of Rod Smith. Anyway, I'm sure our listeners here on the Rubber Squid podcast, brought to you by our friends at betsafe.net. Thank you for their support. Want to hear about the last episode. We've been building to this for weeks now. I, of course, watched the Squid Game show weeks ago, and then got you guys aboard on it. Hence this podcast, and you guys were watching as we went along, and now you've all watched the climax. And shouldn't we open by saying, I know Lester always guides us through wonderfully with his recaps, but shouldn't we just start? Let's not bury the lead here. Stoff completely nailed the fact that the old man was not dead.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And did you also nail that he was the one behind it all?
I thought you did actually, Stoff. Yeah.
I don't know if I nailed that he was behind it all. I just, as soon as you said that, pay attention who dies on camera, I just said player one lives.
I
didn't mean to do that. I really legitimately didn't mean to do that. Well, I wasn't even thinking about that.
Right. You didn't mean to do it because you were actually doing it in reference to the cop.
Yes.
Correct.
We don't actually end up knowing what happens to. No. But based off that, I simply guessed that it was player one.
Right.
I think Puffy was close. He guessed that player one would have been the first one to ever win the game.
Mm-hmm.
Was that true?
No, it wasn't true because he was the organizer, but I guess he's been behind it this whole time. So
okay, before we get to the complete recap, can I just ask you guys about that twist, which was the big twist of the final show, and what you guys thought? Maybe Lester, were you surprised? Did you go, "Holy crap," or did you think it was lame?
I was a little bit surprised, just especially how he came to find out how he was in contact with the lady with the flowers and whatnot. I thought that was surprising. I will say overall, I felt a little bit let down by the final episode. I don't know if you guys all agree with that, but I agree. I kind of felt let down. You know,
this is the most disappointed I've been since Greenland.
Oh.
Thanks, Jimmy.
I thought you were going to say something like Game of Thrones.
I told you that Greenland was a garbage popcorn movie, but in the midst of COVID, when we had very little entertainment, Puffy and I agreed that it was passable.
I thought it was
passable
for sure.
Yes. Now I have a question for you guys. Again, my memory is a little vague. I should have rewatched the episode, but I did not. Were we supposed?
Or did any level of prep for this podcast?
I had hernia surgery.
Oh, it's true.
And then I had to induct the Hall of Famers, Puffy.
So
that's a lot on my plate.
During your hernia surgery, you had no time to watch the hour episode. Couldn't squeeze it in.
Just because I was alone for 3 days in a hotel room with nothing else to do doesn't mean I had time for that.
Oh, Mr. Chan never came back?
Yeah.
We'll get to that on Thursday.
Wouldn't it have been amazing if you guys were watching the final episode and the guy behind Squid Game was Mr. Chan?
Mr. Chan.
It was unbelievable.
I honestly would have preferred that as a twist.
Yeah, wow. It would have been amazing.
Anyway, the point I was getting to was, were we supposed to know that it was the old man as soon as the guy got the flower?
I believe so.
Because that was sort of gesture between the two
wasn't
eternal
there-
guac, the friends, the signal or whatever was on there, right?
When they played the marbles, that was the name, I believe, and I can't remember what the.
Gabu or whatever.
Yeah.
Gabu, yes.
Yeah, Gabu.
Yes.
Was
And
there
I thought
something-
that when he got the.
But why
Did the
would
card say
you know when he got the flowers?
Didn't it say
Because
on
the
there?
card-
Oh, it said on the
Did
note.
it
I know.
say-
Once you said on the note, that was the giveaway.
Yeah.
I thought Jimmy was saying, "Did you know when he was being handed the flowers that's what it would be?"
Oh,
I had
no,
no clue. No.
Oh no, I meant the note because I didn't get that when I watched the episode. I didn't know it was the old man
for me
until I saw the old man.
Oh
no, I knew because that's what they called each other.
Yeah.
That was the name of that episode too, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh,
I can't. I'm not.
A lot of giveaways.
That one went right over my head.
Yeah.
Yeah, me and Brooksy don't pay much attention. I think when we're watching the show, so we're like, "What's this flower about?" Hey, it's the old man. Who saw that coming? Yeah. Okay, so we all look at. I didn't mind that twist itself. Yeah, I didn't see that coming, but I agree with you guys that the last episode was kind of meh.
Well, I liked it up until about that part. Like the fight scene, I thought was unbelievable. I thought that was really cool how they did that. I liked I liked how they ended and wrapped up that whole story. I just, as soon as they sort of ended that game, it sort of lost me a bit.
Yeah. Well, here's my question, and look, I sort of give a little bit of a recap. I mean, the great thing about episode 9 is that right away you're into the final game. They didn't waste any time with that. I thought that was great. And it's actually, they play, I mean, to the title of the show, they play the Squid Game. And of course, they still have these knives, and it ends up basically being a fight to the death. And what I found interesting is that basically Sang-yu, that bastard, he basically gives up, which I thought, why would he, of all the people in this thing, and obviously he's gotten to that point, but he's done a lot of really, really, quote unquote things. Why is he giving up at that point? Why would you see it? Why would you see it through?
Honor. I don't even know if it's honor. He has the crap beaten out of him. I don't know if he can actually move the lower part of his body.
Yeah.
For starters, for the second thing is our hero gives him the out of them both losing and leaving with nothing.
Yeah.
Sang-woo did not do all those things to leave with nothing, not be able to help his mother. That was his whole thing. And what he knew that the guy he was facing was more honorable, that he could trust him to take care of his family more than he could trust himself.
I think that's good.
Yeah.
Very good analysis. I also
enough.
think that's a typical plot maneuver in any novel or film is that a character who had redeeming qualities, who lost them, in the end gets a chance at slight redemption by one gesture, right?
Yeah.
Sacrifice of himself.
And in the end, all those things he did also helped the main character along.
Of course.
They're both not there without it. So
we come back to Anakin Skywalker. Darth Vader did a lot of terrible things, but at the end of the day, he kills the Emperor.
Don't know the films.
No
don't
clue
know the films.
Okay.
No idea.
Yes, Lester, you're correct.
Thanks,
so my thing, what Lester said, that basically they have this Squid Game at the end, which I guess we all figured that's kind of what the final.
Again, Brooksy and I did not see that coming.
Okay, well, that's fine.
I did not, and also I still don't understand any of the rules of Squid Game.
Yeah, me neither.
You hop on one leg till you get to the neck, then you walk over and stomp on the head.
I don't get it.
Yeah, I didn't really understand the board.
You got to shift the guy at something. My question is exactly about that, because basically the way it works is one guy's playing offense, one guy's playing defense, and you have to get past the one guy. Once he throws the sand in his eyes and he's completely disoriented, just run past him and win the game. I don't understand why they fought every time they had the other guy down.
Yeah.
If you could just win the game and the guards will kill the guy anyway, why are you fighting him while he's already down and you can just dart it past him?
I never understood that. And that, to me, that's the sort of major flaw, unless that was just weird.
Unless it was just a personal anger, the fact that he killed this girl. And the part you said, James, you didn't remember why he revealed why he killed the girl when he did. So this is also going back to when Sang-woo dies, is he kills her so that the girl and our main character can't say they want to leave the game.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
So basically, he did it so there would be an ending. So all this wasn't for nothing.
He said that in the show.
He did say that.
And it's basically his whole thing was that it couldn't have been for nothing. So, did you watch the last episode?
No, but Brooksy and I, we tend to make love once or twice during an episode, so there's like a little gap.
There's a lot of
killing.
It's only an hour, right?
It was the ankle bite. It was the ankle bite that did it.
Yeah, there was 4 sessions in the finale.
We do it from minute 2 to minute 3, then minute 57 to minute 58.
When he killed him with that shiv, I just got so hot.
Call me Sang-woo.
Call me Sang-woo.
Say it.
That's some serious foreplay.
Say my name.
But anyway, what I'm referring to is eventually, Sang-woo takes his own life. And
very well done.
Yeah, very, very graphic, by the way. Well, in keeping with the rest of the story. And Ji-hung walks out, he wins the game. So now we cut to a scene where he's in the limo with the frontman. The frontman doesn't have his mask on. The cop's brother, and Ji-hung's asking a lot of questions and why did they do this? Why did they do this? Why did they do this? The gas comes up. By the way, Ji-hung's blindfolded. The gas comes on. He's knocked out. And cut to the scene next. The limo's stopping somewhere in Korea, and they dump this guy out with his mask. Well, it's in the rain. Takes his blindfold off, and he spits out a card, and that's how he gets his money. Like you would think you've won this game. Treat him a little bit better. You know what I mean? But they always have to have that control, I guess. So he spits this card out. It's a bank card. He goes to the bank, and sure enough, all this money's there. He only takes out $10,000.
$39 million US, by the way.
Oh, is it?
Okay.
Yeah, I read that somewhere.
Okay.
That's what it actually was.
How many tries would it have taken for you to have guessed the pin?
Right.
I would have failed the 3-4 times, and then it eats your card. So you're done.
Damn it!
See that's actually the final Squid Game, is guessing the code.
Yeah.
Or else it's all for
it
nothing.
ends up being his number that he's wearing, and very, 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 very smart guess on his part. And he actually nailed it the first time. I don't think he. I think he got it right away. What it would be.
But, in fairness to him, it was in the script, so he didn't. I would have been going on my own. When I had the written word there for me to do it.
That's right.
Puffy would try to take off with the money off.
I'd be like, okay, my lucky number 7.
Austin's month of his birthday plus Barrett's date. No, they wouldn't know that.
Wow. So to continue further on, he's walking home. He's disillusioned, clearly already by this point. But he's finally going home to see his mom. He stops by the shop that Sang-woo's mom owns. He speaks to her. She asks him if he's seen her son. He says no. He goes home, finds his mother has collapsed on the floor, has died. Very, very tragic. Obviously, one of the reasons he wanted to get into the Squid Games first is to number one, clear his own debt, but obviously help his mom and obviously be a father to his daughter. So that is one blow to him. 1 year. Is it 1 year later that he goes? That
1 year later.
Pink hair and all that stuff. Yeah. Or no, or before.
The pink hair. I don't understand.
It's 1 year. It's 1 year.
It's 1 year.
All
But
the
when
money
does
in
he?
the world, he can do what he wants.
Yeah, he wants, but he's somehow. Listen. Look. Let's face it. Listen. If any 4 of us, except maybe Puff, went through it, we'd be shell shocked. Puff would be like, "Well, let's go, baby. Let's roll."
Well, no, hold on.
I would be like, I've kind of blown through this one. I kind of need another Squid Game.
He's dialing the card up.
When's the round 2?
This is player 465.
You are no longer eligible.
Damn it!
Here's the thing, front man. I thought the Panthers were going to cover. I went a little heavy on that one.
And the front man goes, I had 6 months.
No, but
in the pool.
The point you were discussing, Lester, is about him being shell shocked. He is. That's the whole year layoff.
Yes.
He's like in some deep state of depression,
and he hasn't touched his money.
He doesn't touch the money at all.
He feels guilt and.
Okay, so let's just, he doesn't touch the money at all. After a year, he gets the money. He, I guess, decides to take care of
Sang-woo's mom.
He takes care of the mother, but he also the brother of the girl.
Sabiak is the thief who obviously ends up dying at the hands of Sang-woo, but before that, he promises to take care of her brother. Here's my question. He comes back with 40 million in the bank.
Yeah.
And just lets this kid sit in an orphanage for an entire year. Are you kidding me?
I know, it's terrible.
That to me was the most puzzling part. Like,
the dying promise. She makes a dying promise to her, and he's like, I'll get to that. I'll get to that.
I gotta be sad for a year.
For a while.
I gotta dye my hair first.
Well, the other thing too is, look, the main reason he goes into this competition is to be a father to his daughter, and he doesn't see her for a year. So what's up with that?
And then makes the decision at the end of the show. Sorry to jump ahead, but I think jump ahead.
Please.
Like he's finally going to make the right decision and go see his daughter in America, and decides, no, I'm going to go, whatever, fight the organizers of this game. Here's the thing, and I think if you think about this show, like overall, I think we all liked it, right? It was different.
Oh, I loved it.
Yeah, it was good.
It was great.
You did good. I liked it.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I know what you think.
To me, the show falls apart in the last episode. It's basically, to me, what happens is the first few episodes, there's a lot of intrigue, and you're like, holy, this is crazy. And you're basically saying, how are they going to tie this all together? And that's what you believe, that it can all be tied together. And then the final episodes, the tying together is done in such a lazy manner.
Very
and so incompletely. It's done so poorly. It makes you think they actually never thought of the big picture at all.
Kind of like Lost.
It was just a shock factor.
We've talked about that with Lost. Like, I think sometimes you come up with an idea and you have this great idea, but then you can't, and you write all these things in and you have trouble writing your way out of it.
That's exactly it. Although this guy only wrote one season, so this was technically what he
should have been able to have a wrap up here.
He should have been able to wrap it a lot better. And so if we could, I mean, the key part is that one twist where the guy's alive in the hospital, and we haven't discussed that part yet. Sorry, up in the 7th floor there, and they make player one makes that wager. But when player one reveals himself that he was the organizer behind the whole thing, there's a flashback that happens, and usually you use a flashback like this to reveal that we should have known the whole time or whatever, and it should bring clarity to a series. This has done the exact opposite, because when he flashes back to a moment where we discussed before that the person with the mask says to the front man, or the front man says to him, the guests, the VIPs are going to be disappointed that you won't be able to greet them, right? And so later, this is revealed because player one is playing the game, and hence he can't be there. So when he takes off his mask, he goes, it's better to, I can feel it when I'm playing in the game, and that's why he's missing it. Here's the problem I have with that scene. When do the VIPs arrive?
Near the end, right?
They arrive for the last event, which is the bridge.
Yeah.
He's supposed to be dead.
Bingo.
Exactly.
Well, how is he flashing back and saying, I'm going to go play the game now? Dude, you were just eliminated in the last one.
Wow.
It makes absolutely zero sense. What's that?
I thought he said that the reason why I don't think he was making an excuse for why he wasn't going to beat the VIPs. I think he was just saying to the fact that he loved playing the game. I'm not sure. I mean, I have to go back and watch that again, Stoff. But
that would be a massive hole if you interpret it right. It didn't strike
me as odd at the time.
That's the moment of it, is when he says, I'm not going to go greet them because I'm going to go play. That's essentially what he's saying, but he's done playing at that point.
Yeah.
Wow.
Interesting.
The other part too is also
just ruined the entire series for everyone now.
Yeah. Now I don't even.
The other thing is the VIPs. Well,
if they've watched this podcast, I don't think they're going to watch the show now.
The other part is the VIPs. We never learn really much more about them.
Well, but I think that's all set up for season 2 or whatever. Right?
I don't think so. I don't think so at all. This guy's revealed there's no setup for season 2.
Yeah.
He's actually spoken about how he might take people's theories from the internet.
Which is so stupid. That's crazy.
But
work better than this did.
Yeah. I was giving him the benefit of the doubt that maybe he had closure, and then the producers came in and said, well, this is such a hit, we need a season 2, so they changed it. So maybe he was going to take care of the kid right away and take care of the mother, and it was going to end that way. But then they're like, no, we need season 2. We're, you're going back to fight, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, that's fair.
That is possible.
They did leave some other stuff Like they did leave a lot of things hanging there, right? Like the island should have blown up or something. If that was
but he's spoken about how he's only written the one season, so there's no other like he basically left all that stuff undone. I don't think this was ever meant to be more than one season necessarily, because there is somewhere where it says there's an alternate ending where he just gets on the plane. And I think
that's what I'm saying. No, but that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
right. So the producers changed the season.
I know, but if you're gonna do it, you can't be this sloppy.
Right.
And I thought they would do more with the front man. I thought they would sort of tell his story. They didn't tell his story at all.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and again, as James, you said, I mean, the cop. What happened to the cop, right?
Mm-hmm.
How, for all we know, his messages have gone through, and there's an army or whatever coming to that island, right? So we don't know, right?
Yeah.
So
if it was supposed to be the true end of the show, like,
well, no, sorry, Lester, we do know that there's no armies coming to the Squid Games. Because they're already having a year later, and they're having the next ones already. So.
Yeah, they haven't done anything. Right?
So the assumption is the message never got out,
and the cop must be dead unless he's living on that island like Tom Hanks in Castaway.
The other thing that is teased throughout the series that really should have been answered in the last one and wasn't was how did Sang-woo end up there?
He embezzled money like he did a pyramid scheme or something.
Yeah.
Well, was that revealed? I don't remember.
Yeah. They didn't reveal it,
but it was sort of hinted at.
Yeah. He basically was a successful financial guy who, messed up along the lines of what's his face, like Bernie. He was a low-level Bernie Madoff. I think. That's what I. That's
I don't know if Madoff just messed up, but
just made a couple.
Made a couple of
errors, carried the X wrong.
Wow.
That's right.
Well, I got the impression that he definitely was in some type of financial trouble, and whether it was criminal or not, I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
But
it was criminal.
It
was criminal. The FBI, they were coming after him. Yeah, he was in trouble. He was going to jail.
I guess.
Yeah.
So
I didn't realize that was revealed.
Earlier on.
Do you think there was clues throughout the series that player one was in on it somehow?
No.
I would say definitely the Marvel episode.
How so?
Well, think about it. I think about it in the sense that he's tricking this guy the whole time, right? He says, that he was, he wasn't being taken advantage. He said that the Jihan was taking advantage of him. At the end, it basically gives him the marble, and that's it, really, right? But if you think about it, what was a guy that age? He was the only one that old there, and he survived up until that point. Like, if you go back to the episode number 1, too, and I'd like to see that again, because you'd mentioned, Stoff, that some people were moving after red light, green light.
Yeah.
Was he one of them, right?
Yeah.
Well, not just but all those games. So what would have happened if the old man cracked his cookie there?
They would have to shoot him in front of everyone.
And more importantly, what about like the tug of war? Okay, so they pulled that off, and partly because of his advice. But come on, it was still a long shot.
It wasn't part of his advice because they were about to lose.
No, was he playing the game knowing that he could die?
I think so.
I don't know how though, because he doesn't die when he's supposed to. I think maybe he always had an out. That's the suggestion. But then, was he really sick during the show?
Yeah, they said he had a tumor.
They said
a tumor. Well, that's what he dies of in the end, supposedly.
Yeah.
Right. Now going back to the green light. So to start with, the fact that he's that much older than the other contestants, I think, is a bit of a giveaway in the beginning.
Yes.
Everyone else there has obvious financial troubles. He just seems to be there as like a life-ending thrill, which is why would he be recruited for that if they're recruiting every single other person for different reasons? So I get, in a way, he does stand out that way. Now, going back to the green light, red light, I read about this a little bit on the internet after, and there's clips where people show when that the cameras inside that doll's eyes are marking everyone with targets. He's the only one who doesn't have a target on him in one scene.
Oh, really?
Like it doesn't outline his body where it's, so the theory is it might be that the doll was programmed not to shoot him regardless.
Right. So do you think that was
that could also be a glitch? That could be a frozen frame at the right spot.
What do they call those things in shows when they give you a little nugget, like
foreshadowing?
Easter egg?
Easter egg, Easter egg in the show that maybe the producers throw you a little Easter egg.
The other thing about the red light, green light, if you remember, he's smiling and laughing. We assume it's because he doesn't know any better because he's got this tumor. But in fact, he's running the whole damn thing. So he knows he's not going to die.
Yeah. He's a real psycho.
The other thing is too, when the first group of people dies, The next time the back's turned, no one else moves except for him. And it's because he knows the music. He knows how to time it out regardless. Everyone's just still in shock. So there is a bit of that, but I think, like Lester said, it initially heavily plays to his.
And why does he vote to stop the game too? Why wouldn't he want, unless he knows that everyone's going to come back, and that's all part of psychological manipulation?
I think it helps ease his own conscience that way, because these people chose to come back and die.
Yeah, that's true. But and they knew what was happening.
Yeah, but he also knows how much info he has on all these people, right? So, like, I mean, you think about all these people there, and the other couple of the other people I was fascinated about to get their stories. So, what's this couple doing there? Remember that couple that was the man and wife?
Oh, they're both in debt, I think.
Right? What did they do to get into that? Now, was it one of them that had some trouble and they just had this bond that, like Brooksy and James, where if James got into some trouble, Brooksy would go with them to the Squid Game? You know what I mean?
I read about some backstory on that couple, and they bought a place in Prince Edward County, and then the real estate market went south, and
impossible.
There's one more part where I think this is an actual giveaway. If you go back and watch it, you realize this is where. Do you guys remember the riot? How the riot stops? The riot stops when player one is all the way at the top, shaking, saying, "Stop it, I'm scared." And it pans to the front man, and the front man says, "Okay, enough." And they stop. The guards run in and stop the riot.
See,
that's the one moment where I'd say that there's a bit of a, like, they wouldn't stop it for someone else who would be afraid, obviously. So,
but you see, if all that is true, that's actually, I give the producers / writers credit for that then. Yeah. Right. So
I would as well, but that's why I don't give them the credit for the flashback. That's terrible.
Yeah.
Here's my thought overall on this thing. Like I said, I enjoyed it. I kind of I'm not as smart as Stoff when I watch these shows. I just sit back and watch it, make love a couple times, and so if you think, I enjoyed the show, but if you think about it, almost every cliche in movies and shows they use in this show, like in the end, it's almost all quite predictable. Like if you and I had the basic plot line, the four of us, we could have sat down and kind of figured out mostly what was going to happen. I don't know that we would have had who he was up against in the finale, but probably we would have said it would have been Jihan and Sang-woo, probably from episode 1 or episode 2, probably. Yeah. Even the fight scene at the end that you love, Puffy, it was great, but it was like any other action movie fight scene with the rain pouring down.
Yeah. Each guy has the opportunity to kill the other guy, and it doesn't happen somehow.
They use essentially every good TV, every good plot maneuver that's ever been used in action movies and such, and they dressed it up in. First of all, it was South Korean, so that made it different. And it was the entire premise was something we really hadn't seen besides Hunger Games, as Stoff pointed out. So I think that they took a lot of the same old you've seen and dressed it up nicely so that people went, "Holy crap, I've never seen anything like this." But really, you have. You know what I mean? That's kind of.
I think that's my takeaway from this series too. Was like, I think the show up until the finale is pretty well done, but its success is mainly hype. Its success is mainly the fact that there's the shock value of what this is, and you have no idea what's going on in the beginning. And the fact that it's a foreign film, the fact that it's Korean, for some reason in people's heads, it almost triggers this thing like it's even, it's so foreign. I can't believe, but like I said, it's a parallel with films we've seen.
Let's not forget the success of Parasite, and definitely there's an evolution here, and there's a shift in people's, look, Korea's hot right now as far as
so hot right now.
Content is concerned.
So Korea,
you know what I mean?
Korea is so hot right now.
But Jimmy's point, this was very much like a lot of shows we've seen. The mystique and mystery around it in the beginning, I guess, is what really caused
the big difference. Is it had cool costumes.
Yeah,
the
masks
for guys like me and Puffy. That made it good.
I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, you throw in that music they play when they walk around
and stuff. I'm like, this is awesome. This guy's cool.
It's true. But no, and we should give it credit for that. Like that kind of, even though I was saying we've seen everything, every plot twist they ever had. I mean, it made it worthwhile for me because that kind of stuff was neat. There is some depth, though. I did read one piece about the finale where a guy, he focused in and wrote the entire piece on the last thing that Sang-woo said, which was something on the lines of, he was talking about the game, and he said, we used to play and our moms would always call us to come for dinner and nobody calls us anymore. Yeah. And he sort of took that as the most relevant piece of the entire bit. And, people smarter than us could read in depth to what it means, but does it mean that, their mothers, when men, and maybe this is a South Korean thing too, young men grow into men, their mothers can't protect them anymore. They're left to their own devices, which leads them down, in the case of these two guys, led them both down the wrong path, right? Because they didn't have their mother to protect them anymore. And I thought that was kind of true. Kind of heavy.
I think by him saying that is basically saying they have to play the game to the end now. Because their mothers aren't going to call them in for dinner. Yeah. So one of them has to basically die at that point.
Yeah. That's probably truth too.
The other thing though, when the old man's on his deathbed and they make that bet, because I think that's a pretty interesting moment in this series. And the bet is basically there's an old drunk guy dying outside. There's 20 minutes before midnight. He says if it gets to midnight and no one helps him, I win the bet. If someone helps him, you win the bet.
But what were the stakes? I didn't remember the stakes.
The stakes were like you can. I think the old man said you could kill me or something.
Correct.
Whereas the stakes, I'm not sure if I understood this correctly, but if the old man won, he would have won all the other guys' money back.
Yeah, that's how I understood it.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
And he carelessly bet that, I guess. There's two things I had with that was, number one, why wouldn't Ilhan just run out and help the guy himself? Which led me to thinking maybe the whole premise behind that scene is, in a way, the old man is showing Ilhan how alike they are, because Ilhan is now this guy.
Ilhan is the old man. Sorry, you're talking about Jihan.
You're talking about Jihan.
Sorry.
Honestly, I totally thought like that Stoff had figured out the proper pronunciation of the main character's name. And I'm like, oh, it was Ilhan all along. Not Ilhan. I was not pronouncing it right.
All right,
good job, Stoff. Ilhan. Anyway, I'm like, yes.
Our hero our hero chooses to accept the bet. Our hero is a person who's loaded with money and is at this point gambling on somebody else's life.
Yeah, he's got a problem.
He's literally become what the old man is. They're both doing the same thing, and I think that might be the point of that scene.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, listen. At the end of the day, the whole series is about what people will do for money. Ultimately, whether they're in the Squid Game or not. Right.
Isn't the point of that scene though that Jihan still believes in the goodness of human being, and the old man does not?
Yes. I agree.
And that's why he bothers does this game, that life doesn't matter. Because it doesn't matter. If it doesn't matter on the street, it doesn't matter in this game.
If the old man didn't believe in the goodness of life, I don't think he would have survived in that game. The only reason he survived partially is because our lead character took care of him a lot of times too, though.
Yeah,
he's inherently evil. He's inherently evil because he runs the game, though.
Is he though? Right. That's
a great question.
He does not think he is.
Is he a bad?
Every single person. Every single person is
because they want to
voluntarily, be there. And not only that, he is going to change someone's life. He doesn't put these people in debt.
He's void of morality. He tries to teach people morality lessons while playing the game, but you're still like the greatest mass murderer in the history of mankind.
Well, speaking to the morality, there was also the emphasis on fairness and all that stuff. Obviously, if he's playing, save the fact that he cheated death in the game, but the fact that he knows all the games, he knows what's going to happen, and it obviously wasn't fair to the rest of the competitors. So, that kind of falls flat.
Well, it was, though, but in the end, does it really matter? I guess, the people that lost him in the tug
he gave a tip, and he gave a tip there.
Yeah. Well, but you know what? I think in the end, we're reading, like, there's too many flaws. We could find a million flaws in this thing, because whenever one guy writes a show this complicated, they're just not smart enough to think of everything.
See, I don't see, to me, you're giving him way too much of, like, you're making it way too easy on him. No, like, good writers put this together where, like, It's solid.
They're writing an action show. I don't think they're putting a little bit of deeper meaning in there, but we end up reading way more into it sometimes.
An action show where anything can happen regardless of the plot. It's
no, but you want the big twist at the end. Okay, you write the book. Okay, I'm going to have the big twist at the end. It's going to be the old man. That's what he's thinking when he's writing it. And then he doesn't think of all the small little details about, with the old man of.
No, but he's supposed to, Jimmy.
No,
he's
but
writing it thinking it the whole time.
In order for it to be a shocker, well, we have to know that the old man got shot, and the old man could have died. He could have died in the tug of war and all that stuff.
No, but you can do it in a way where it still makes sense.
Well, then I want Stoff to write season 2.
I should have. Okay, so
you might be able to. He'll take.
I actually have a fun question for the end for you guys here. Given the storyline and what it is.
No, hold on. One second. Okay. Do you think that the old man always was going to be out of the game at the marble stage? Like, was that the plan all along?
No, he could have tied in the tug of war. He picked the team.
Okay, but I just think there was no way he was passing that marble stage.
I actually think there was a way he could have passed the marble stage.
How?
And initially, when they had to pair up, do you remember that? He was sitting in the corner by himself, and our hero was trying to pair up with other people. Had that girl been able to pair up with someone else, chances are player 1 would have been left behind and would have been left to compete in the next stage.
Okay.
Well, that's a good question, though, Puffy. I think that probably. So we've determined that he could have died, right? That he's playing the tug of war and says, "No, if I die, that's
I don't think we could have determined that, because why didn't he die in the marble game? I think no, but
I'm with Puffy. I think he made the decision. This is where I bow out and let this thing go to its end.
I know, but if he's bowing out, why didn't he get shot?
Well, because he's running the game.
Because he's running it. He's running the game.
But then he could have died at previous stages. There's a serious contradiction here.
There's a contradiction there for sure. But that's, again, I don't think the writer has thought of these things, right? But
okay, so at the end of it all, the last episode was called A Lucky Day. Is that just referring to the writer? That he cashed in on all this
Yes.
He hit a quick lick and that's it.
Yes. You don't want to know how many holes would have been in Murder Island's plots. I did not get deep in that space.
Hey, that guy died twice already. On camera.
I basically just had a basic premise, and it was not going to get better from there.
All right, so I got a question for you guys. Knowing what we know and knowing what we don't know about the cop yet, what we don't know about the front man, who's behind all this, how's it being run, would you rather see season 2 or a prequel to season 1?
Ooh,
Lester?
I would rather see a prequel. And the reason I say that, because we have a lot of questions. And honestly, speaking to your point, Stoff, it would give the writer an out to try to fix some of the mistakes he's made here. So that's what I think. And to go further, I mean, look, I don't see the wisdom. I don't know why Ji Hung at this point. He's got his money. He's taking care of the daughter. He's taking care of the mother. He's taking care of the son. And he's going to go get his daughter. Why he's thinking at this point, a year later, that he's got to go do something about this is beyond me. Take your money and go take care of your family.
I would guess that's more his moral compass. That's what the character.
Well, his moral compass. Well, yeah, but. Look,
it doesn't sit. Look, he couldn't kill Sang-woo at the end. It doesn't sit well with him that other people are dying for this.
I understand that, but
it's shaping up to be a hero. I get your point. Yeah, you have your own life.
I mean, and the other thing, listen, I hate to say this. I know it's a silly point, but he's come out of this thing, yes, and he's very dejected in the whole bit. But then he grows his hair long. He's got a wicked beard. He looks great. He's got all this money, and you go and you dye your hair red and get it cut like a girl. Why?
Well, he cut his hair the same color as the guards. Yeah, Jimmy, season 2 or prequel?
Well, I think the answer to that is we're going to end up seeing both, because South Korea, whoever produces this thing, realizes that they have a cha-ching cash machine on their hands. So we'll probably see season 2 next year. And then they'll milk it for whatever they can milk it for, season 2, season 3. And then they'll probably do, or maybe season 3 will be a prequel or whatever. I would do that. I mean, if you've got this money machine, that's look, it's just like spinning off a podcast to another podcast about some useless show that you watched.
Yeah.
Who would do that?
No one would do that.
There's no reason for it. But when the BetSafe people are on board, you just keep producing.
BetSafe.net.
All I could think of with the guy getting on the plane was like Puffy, going to Austin's graduation and driving by a nightclub, slash book club, casino. Tanya, are you there yet, Puff? Yeah, we're gonna be. I'll be here in 2 minutes. This is the biggest day of our son's life.
It's the high school graduation, right?
He got into college, right?
Anyway, it was fun. Talking about it. It was a fun show. So what are we going to do now? Are we going to do another show if we some point along the way?
Season 1, the facts of life. Let's dig in deep, boys. What happened to Mrs. Garrett?
Was Tootie really running the whole thing the whole way along? Why didn't she die in episode 2?
Well, whatever it is, we have to make sure Jimmy doesn't watch ahead.
Yes,
no kidding.
True.
That's right. I want to be with you guys.
We all have to go at the same pace.
I want to be with you guys. I don't want to spoil anything for you or our beloved listeners here.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, thank you. This is something we tried. I think it was a very successful experiment all the way around. When you say, Lester? I think it was a hit.
Good. I liked it.
It was a big hit. Is it big? Is it bigger than the Rubber Boots? You get all the ratings. Did Squid Games eclipse the Rubber Boots podcast in the ratings?
Squid Games was a very close second to the Rubber Boots podcast. Still, I think, people love the pod and, it's important, but Squid Games, the popularity of the Squid Games combined, James,
right, with
this cast.
Yes.
Right. Did it exceed the ratings of most of your ESPN Classic Canada shows?
Yes, it did. It did.
Okay, well, thanks for watching, everybody. And, season 1 of Squid Games. Oh, look at that.
Look who's here.
We've never seen you on the podcast before.
I know.
Wow, way to make me and Puffy sad.
Dog,
we lose our dogs in the last 2 weeks, and you have to flaunt it in our face.
Oh, you had Hugo before. I thought that was a nice addition.
I'm just kidding.
Miles really only me.
Great.
Very cute dog. Very sweet dog. Okay, that's it for season 1 of Rubber Squid. Hope you enjoyed. Join us Thursday for the fresh new episode of the Rubber Boots podcast, brought to you by our friends at betsafe.net.
Thank you for joining us on the finale of the Rubber Squid podcast, presented by betsafe.net. Don't forget to enjoy the Rubber Boots podcast wherever you get your podcasts. See you later.